Do you know the difference between coaching or consulting? There is a big difference. I've been a coach for over 14 years in the business and real estate investing world, professionally being paid. Yes, you could look me up on Google or whatever. I've got so many very, very successful clients. Many millionaires have been formed through my coaching, one-on-ones, group training, group coaching, you name it. All right, so here's the difference. Coaching, I use what they call the Socratic method. Do you know what that is? All right, I know the answer. However, if you're my coaching client, I want you to answer it for me. I'm going to ask you something about scripts or a transaction, or what do you know about farming? What do you know about open houses? Blah, blah, blah. And I want you to answer and explain to your best ability, your knowledge, to make sure we're both on the same page. And if we're not, this is where I go into consulting. Okay. Consulting is, hey, give me the shortcut. You as a client, hey, I paid for your services. I want to get there quick. Right. And so consulting is basically, I've done it. Now I'm going to teach you the best, most efficient way to do it and avoid the pitfalls, the landmines, my mistakes, what have you. Okay, so there is a major, major difference. I've hired some coaches before where, man, they read through a book. And honestly, I think that's terrible. And when certain cases, yes, there's some framework where you must, but man, I had a coaching client where line by line, she was reading the book and I could tell. And I asked her, like, at that moment, I felt it in my gut. Like, are you reading from a book? So she had no real world experience, and I was very upset. Okay, because I assumed, great word, right? If you know what that means, making an ass out of you and me. Uh, However, it was when they sold the coaching program that it was explained that this coach was seasoned when they weren't. Okay. So there are great coaches out there. There are some that, man, steer clear, trust your gut. Okay. I'm very seasoned. I've got the resume. I've got a lot of coaching clients that have been very, very successful. However, remember, watch my other videos because I'm going to explain other things on other videos where you need to put some of these pieces together. Because sometimes when a coaching client fails, it's not necessarily the coach, it's the coaching client. Either, you know what they say, when the student is ready, the coach will appear. Sometimes that student, that coaching client, wasn't ready. They couldn't afford it. They weren't in the right mindset. They had something going on with divorce or life or bad partnership, whatever. They weren't focused enough. They didn't show up to coaching calls. They didn't do homework. They didn't participate. They were late, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes, folks, you're going to hear or see these reviews online with other coaching clients, not necessarily mine, but others as well, that it was probably the student's fault. Okay. I went on a little rant. I apologize. So, coaching and consulting, there is a major, major difference. Okay. And usually, when you're out there looking for great consulting advice, sometimes you truly get what you pay for. And you got to know where you're at as well, because, like, for instance, taxes. When you don't have a very big portfolio, when you don't have a lot of businesses or investments, anything like that, you don't need a high level CPA. You probably just need a tax preparer. Okay. And there's a big, big difference between a CPA who does a lot of consulting and tax strategy versus a tax preparer, right? They'll just get your information, input it in their tax preparation form, their 1040 or whatever, Schedule C, and send it off, or you send it off. Okay. So keep in mind when you're trying to hire a coach or consultant, what this person's success stories are. Are they credible, reputable, etc.? Look them up. And word of mouth is also very, very helpful. So do your due diligence. I do both. I'm a coach and consultant. I love, love, love that part of what I do in my life. However, as I preach and teach, that is in the S, self-employed position, ESBI, cash flow quadrant. So I'm very limited. And so, like, if we aren't gelling or whatever, or I think you need to go to a different coach, learn a different skill, yeah, we'll mutually end it amicably, right? But keep in mind, usually when I work with you, I'm gonna give it my all. And if you're not giving it all, your all, and I can sense that, I might say it's time to see you later, and it's not working out. But I'll try my best. You try your best. Let's make it happen. All right, that was the difference between coaching and consulting. Have a great day. Peace out. Catch you on the next video.